Hello friends, it's Jayma Malme. Welcome to another scrapbooking video. Today I'm going to be using this new memory lane collection from Close to My Heart to document my mom's 70th surprise party. I want to show you guys these pictures first because they're so fun. We surprised my mom so big. It was so awesome. So I live about an hour and a half from my parents. My sister lives a plane ride away. So she came out with her family from California to Colorado. And my family surprised my mom. She didn't know that we were coming. So she saw us when she walked in the door and was like, "What are you guys doing here?" And was like all excited. And then my sister and her family walked in the door and look at her face. It is just priceless. She was so surprised. The only thing she would have wanted for her birthday was to have all of us together, and that's what she got. So this was so fun. So my layout today is going to be like a linear design showing the progression of the actual surprise, and I'm making a whole album for her. That was her birthday present from me. So I'm a little late starting this, but I'm glad that now I have this collection because it's perfect, at least for these photos and maybe some others in the album as well. So this is my mom's first initial reaction seeing her. There's my daughter, and then my sister and my niece, and then there all of them. There's my nephew, and then my brother-in-law coming in, giving her a hug, and she's starting to cry and just so excited. Notice this balloon back here. We had the decor of a 7-0, those big balloons. So that's going to come into play in just a second. So there is my mom hugging my niece. Still can't believe it. I love the looks on her face. And then hugging my sister. So those are the 4 portrait orientation photos I'm going to be using today. And let's take a look at this memory lane collection. Here is the sticker sheet. I love how versatile this is. There's not like an overarching super dominant theme. Like there are houses and it can be like home kind of stuff. But I could use that even for this because we're in my parents' home. Anything at home could be used for this, or so many other things that don't have the houses can be used for so many different things. So we got like pennants and bunting, little journaling spots and hearts and flowers. I love a good floral, more little banner pieces, and then little sayings and borders. So a really fun sticker sheet. And then the paper pack is like an XL paper pack. So there's more patterns than a typical pack. So I'll just show these up close to you, or up close for you real quick. So this is the front and back. I've already got everything turned over, so you get 2 of each paper, and there's more patterns than a normal pack. So I really love these. I love this kind of wash, and I love this stripe, and I wish they weren't back to back because these are my favorite. So there's one. This is my next favorite, and I think I'm almost positive I'll be using this floral because look at how well it goes with my mom's shirt. It's just absolutely perfect. Now, with a busy pattern like this, you want to use it a little more sparingly. You use it a little differently than you do. We have so many patterns that are not quite as bold and busy that help to complement this, but this will definitely bring in all the colors that we want and that floral pattern. And then there's these houses here. There's just a very subtle pop of sapphire in this pack. So really it's the center of these flowers and then little pops on these houses. And so I might bring that in a little bit. It will help my photos pop. We'll see. And then here is another one, and I think it's hard to catch on camera, but there's like a peachy pink wash here with the sage. So it's really fun, kind of almost Southwest pattern, but it's really cool how it has that duotone effect. And then here is the back of that, almost these little waves. And then this has that same kind of duotone effect. It's kind of like a yellowy orange with a pinky peach with another like Southwest almost looking, or maybe Art Deco, which actually would be really good for my mom. She loves Art Deco. So that is a lighter pink and then a more bold pink here. So the colors in this pack are ballerina, honey butter, melon, nectarine, peach, sage, sapphire, and white daisy. It seems like there's a little bit of a darker pink though as well. So let's move on to the yellows. So we have this little small floral, and there's a little bit of pink kind of in that background as well, even though it's more dominant yellow. And then this is a really fun pattern. It's very subtle, but it's a really, really fun pattern with a little wash of pink also kind of mixed in with that yellow. There's a lot of fun zip strips that are on here too. And then here are the kind of peachy pink colors. There's like this crosshatch pattern. And then this is like an X with little lines coming out the sides. Close to My Heart actually said these are supposed to be like dragonflies. So, kind of fun. So, and then look at that zip strip. I love the stripes. All right, so that is the paper pack. And then there's also a stamp set that goes along with this. I'm not sure I'll be using all of these. I could use this Have a Beautiful Birthday. That might go well. Or I could use it later on the album, maybe not on this surprise layout because I want to go with more of a surprise theme. But I could use this floral piece right here. And I have so many other floral stamps and dies too that could work. So I might bring in some other products, but I pulled out the ones I know I'm going to use. Now this stencil, this is from the Slimline Stencil Pack 2. Hopefully you can see that. I thought it kind of looked like confetti, so I thought it might be fun to use. I know I want to do some stenciling, so that's the one I pulled out. And then remember the 7-0 balloons I pointed out? That's why I've got this number balloons stamp and die set. So I'm really excited to use this in my embellishments. Now these are two of my go-to sketches when I have vertical portrait orientation photos. This is one from Make It From Your Heart Volume 3, one of Close to My Heart's pattern books. And the way these work is you've got like the blueprint, the sketch over here with the cutting guide and dimensions and everything, and then two examples of that sketch put together in layouts. So I like the pattern opportunities in this pattern paper back here with the simple, line of photos. That's definitely what I want to do because I want to tell the story of the progression of a surprise. And then I can have my surprise title down here. The embellishing here is fairly simple. You could keep it simple, or I like to do a little bit more embellishing and have some nice embellishment clusters. That's just my style, but this gives you a great base to work from and then embellish as desired. And then I did a video with this sketch that I drew up a couple of months ago, and I really, really like all of those strips that are in the background and give you an opportunity to use a bunch of those patterns that are in that paper pack. So I'm going to play with some of my papers with these designs, and then we'll come back and you'll see which one I decided on. Okay, so to decide which sketch I want to use, I picked out a few pattern papers that I thought I would use, put my photos down. I know I'm going to matte. I almost always matte in white, and then I might add a colored matte too, and just kind of try to figure out if I like these on the vertical strips. So it's okay. I'm not sure I like the green right behind all of my sister's green. I definitely like the green being on here because it draws out the green. I don't know that I like it right on top. So what I'm gonna do is turn this, and I think for the other pattern, we need 3 patterns. So I'm gonna go with these 3 because I think these 2 pop better with this. I think I want this color at the top because this is what the photos are gonna be resting on. It's gonna be kind of like this, and I like the photos on this color. And then this busier pattern will be below it. So I think it's actually going to be overlapping that a little bit too. So kind of like that. And then the green I like being down here further away from her. So these photos are going to be here. Actually, they're going to be like this. I like that. I like the green down here. I don't want it right under her. And then for the other page, it's going to span all the way across. I like this too. The green being down here doesn't matter as much for these pictures, but it still works. So I'm going to go ahead and go with this pattern from that Make It From Your Heart Volume 3. Okay, I've got my strips cut according to the sketch, and then I'm testing out linen background and white. I am typically drawn to a white background, and here I think that's what I'm gonna go with, but I just wanna show you, you can go with a colored background. You can use any color you want. I was thinking maybe the linen because there's a lot of gray in my photos, but it just kind of blends in. Even though I'm gonna have a mat around them, I think it just kind of blends in. I really like them, how they pop off the white, and then the white will showcase some of the stenciling and probably stamping that I'll be doing as well. Okay, I definitely do like this better. I like the pop of the white, and I'm gonna go ahead and pull my Versamats in so that I can glue these down perfectly straight. Sometimes I adhere my paper to the Versamat as well, so I might do that. But this will help me to make sure that I've got everything adhered. And if I look at my sketch, it even tells me that I need to have this glued 1/2 inch from the bottom. So I can bring in my T-square ruler and have that at the 1/2 inch mark. This is where the Versamat comes in handy because I can just hook it onto there. And then we'll make sure that it's straight. And there we go. And then the sketch also tells me that there's 1/4 inch between all of these strips. So I am gonna go ahead and glue everything down, and then we'll come back. All right, so I have my pieces back here glued down. I don't have my photos glued down because I need to figure out what color I want my mats to be. And I wanna do my stenciling kind of maybe behind here, maybe down here. Maybe I should have done it before I glued these down, but oh well. And then maybe over here. But first I want to choose my mat, and I pulled out several colors that go with the collection. So I mentioned the Sapphire is in just a little bit, and it's actually not even, oh, it's just like right here in these flower centers, and I don't even know that all of those are showing. There's a few over here that are showing. I thought maybe the contrast might work still. So maybe if I just do like a really thin border, it kind of helps your photos pop. So I kind of like that. And then I thought maybe charcoal because there's some gray in the pictures. I don't know, it doesn't make them pop enough. I'm gonna put that way over here. I don't love that. And then we've got papaya, which is the darker color back here. And I don't know, I think it kind of just blends into the pinks that are back there. We've got honey butter, which I don't have really any honey butter in the photos, but I thought that maybe since it's such a contrast to the photos that it might help them pop. And I do like that. And then this is nectarine, but I've got the light side. So Close to My Heart's cardstock is the true color on one side and then a lighter shade of that color on the other. So I like that I can just flip that over and try it out. I do like that too, but I think it just blends into this a little bit. So now we are between the honey butter and the Sapphire. And then whatever color I decide on here, I think I am going to do my title. I'm going to do a cricket title. So I do like the honey butter, but I just like how this is so contrasting to all of the lighter colors on here. I think I might actually go with this. I'd love to know what you'd think. What would you decide? I wish I could just, if this were live, I would just ask you guys, what do you think? What should I do? I think I'm gonna make my final decision though with the Sapphire, and then I'll cut my title in the Sapphire too with a white offset. Okay, I've got my title cut, and if you're not sure how to cut a title on the Cricut, I did a tutorial in my last video. I will link that down below. I've got my mats on. I did a little stenciling as the base layer of my embellishment clusters, and I used the honey butter and that stencil that I showed you earlier. And by the way, all the products I'm using are listed down below. But now is when I'm going to start getting into a whole myriad of products. Don't feel like you need all of these products to make a beautiful layout. This is, I just have a wide stash, and so I want to use it. But I'm going to show you what I use, and you can definitely get this look with fewer supplies. So I colored a whole bunch of stamps off camera. Now this is from the stamp set that goes with this memory lane collection. And this is that kind of like stitched looking cluster right here. And then I pulled out the Pretty Posies stamp and thin cut set. So these come with the dies already, so you can cut them out. So I already colored them while I was talking to some friends on Zoom. And then this one doesn't have a die, so I just fussy cut that out, and I just did a couple of those. And if you are not a confident colorer, I didn't do a lot of shading on these. So I was prompted by the catalog page, actually. I was really drawn to the way they colored these and the cards. So I wanted to get this set when I saw the cards. And if you look at these, there's just very little shading. I'm not a great colorist, so if you're not confident coloring, you don't have to do a bunch of shading with this. So for this one, for example, I used the coral blend, and I just used 2 colors. I colored these darker ones, all one color, no shading or anything. And then the lighter ones, I just used this darker color to outline those lines, kind of go over those lines, and then used the lighter color. And then for this one, I did all one color for that inner layer, all one color for the middle layer, and all one color for the outer layer. So there's no shading, but it gives that kind of effect of lots of, different colors, or kind of shading, if you will. So this is a great set, I think, for practicing coloring, or if you don't want to mess with the shading, then it looks really good. They just stamped onto a patterned paper for the leaves. So I did the same thing. This is one of the sage patterns from the paper pack. And then I colored the inside. And to get this match, this is very close to the sage color, I actually used the lightest color of vintage blue. So this is the vintage blue blend. I used the lightest color on the bottom, and then I used the lightest color of the dull green blend and went right over it. So let me just give you a quick little demo here. Kind of go around. And I didn't go all the way up, just so it would be a little bit of, it would look kind of like a little bit of shading. And then I took the lightest color of the dull green, and then I went over everything. So this one, I'm not right over it, so I might be kind of getting out of the lines a little bit, but there you go. So easy as that. I didn't get all the way over here to cover the vintage blue, but that vintage blue gives the dull green kind of an undertone of the blue, so it matches the sage really well. And then the last thing I brought in are all of the leaves that are cut out of this slimline die. This is a really cool die, and these are the leaves that I cut out from the demo that I showed on how to use it, which I showed at the very end of my unboxing video when I got all of my products from my new catalog. So these I inked in, there's a stencil that matches this and a stamp set. So I inked them in sage and then stamped over them with the details in pine, I believe, and then cut it out with this die. So it's really fun. It's a whole bunch of coordinating products. But since I already had these done from the demo, I thought that they would go perfectly in my little embellishment clusters. And then of course I cut my 7-0. This is one of the patterned papers from that collection. And I just did a little line of pale pink in one of the corners, and then I blended it out with the colorless blender, just kind of little circles to go over that to kind of blend it out. And it just looks like a tiny bit of shading. So we'll go ahead and put our embellishment clusters together now. When I arrange embellishment clusters, I typically start with the largest pieces first, and those are going to be my anchoring pieces that are the bottom layer, and then I can layer from there. Now, in the case of these sprigs and some of the flowers that have a longer stem, those are mostly going to be peeking out from behind the larger pieces, but it's still good to get the larger pieces down first so you have kind of the structure and the bulk of your cluster, and then you can start tucking in the leaves because those are going to be kind of popping out here and there, and that will help to form the rest of the shape of your layout or your cluster. So I just have lots of leaves kind of sticking out from underneath those, and then I did the other side as well off camera. I wanted to have a few smaller flowers kind of scattered around that weren't necessarily part of the larger embellishment clusters, but close to them, so they sort of related. So I've got those couple of flowers over on the right side that aren't in the cluster, but they're just close to it. And then I'm gonna stick some of these other longer stems in this one, sort of making it look like a floral arrangement. My mom is actually a floral designer, so I channel my mom when I'm doing clusters like this. My aunt is actually a floral designer too. She owned a floral shop for years and years and years. This is my mom's sister. So they both have the gene, and I got it too. So it's fun to do floral clusters. I just love flowers. So now I've got these 70 balloons, and I was thinking at first that I wanted to have them a part of the floral cluster, but I decided to have them be their own cluster and then have a few smaller flowers and leaves kind of stick out from them. And then my journaling is going to be sticking out from those as well, so that it's not just sitting there on its own. So I've got the journal strip stickers, which are my favorite way to add journaling these days. You just write out your journaling on these little sticker strips, and then you peel it off the sticker sheet and put it down and snip it where you want it. So it's super, super easy. I will have these linked down below with everything else. I know people have asked where to get them, and everything I'm using is available on my Close to My Heart website. I have several flowers left over that I will use for cards, but I had this one that I thought maybe I can tuck it over on the left somewhere. And then my inspiration sketch actually had some little banners here. I had some glitter paper laying on my desk, so I used the silver glitter paper in those banners, but I had to use that somewhere else so that it wasn't just the only spot with silver glitter. So I had these glitter gems, and I'm sprinkling those around my little embellishment clusters. If you've enjoyed this video or found it helpful, then please give it a thumbs up so that YouTube knows, and consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't already. I usually post 2 scrapbooking videos a week in hopes to inspire you for your own scrapbooking. I think I might want to move this little flower up here where the banners are. So I tried that, and I glued it down and snipped the extra off and put it somewhere else, but I ended up not liking it. So in the final reveal showing you the close-ups, I'm going to show you where it did end up. So here is where that little piece that I cut out is going to end up, a little part of this embellishment cluster down here. And once I got off screen and was looking at the layout, I thought, you know what, that one up at the top just draws your attention right up to that corner right away, and I didn't like it. So I ended up moving it back where it was originally, and I like it right there. I did add a couple of stickers from the sticker sheet up in that banner cluster though, and here is a look at everything close up. I have some things glued down straight to the layout and some things on thin 3D foam tape for a little bit of dimension, and the leaves have glue just at the base so that they can kind of stick out at the tips. If you want to see still shots of everything, I have those over on Facebook and Instagram. The links to my channels are down below along with my supply list. And if you want to see a layout share with lots more inspiration, including a layout from this same sketch, then check out the video that's on screen right now. Thanks so much for watching, and have a great day.